Hey guys, in this video we'll be talking about the basics of the visual pathway and the visual lesions. Lesions at different areas of the visual pathway. So now let us get into our topic. Yeah, this is what the picture given in the ganglion. So just try to understand first which field of vision is captured by which part of the retina. See, this is the nasal field of vision and this is the temporal field of vision. This nasal field of vision is falling upon the temporal part of the retina, whereas the temporal field of vision is falling upon the nasal field of nasal part of the retina. Similarly, here this nasal part, it is falling upon the temporal part of retina, and this the temporal field of vision is falling upon the nasal part of the retina. Now the ganglionic cells from this retina, they will be passing caudally, forming the optic nerve. This entire thing is called the optic nerve. Now what can you say? This optic nerve will be having the nasal fibers and the temporal fibers of the same eye. So when it reaches the optic chiasma, the only nasal fibers will be crisscrossing in the sense they will cross each other, they decussate, whereas the temporal fibers, they do not decussate and they'll be passing as they were. So after optic chiasma, the formed fibers, here this is called the optic tract. Now what does the optic tract consist of? It will be containing the nasal fibers of the opposite eye and the temporal fibers of the same eye. And now this both the fibers reaches the lateral geniculate body of the thalamus and synapse. After synapsing, the axons will be passing. These axons are also called the geniculocalcarean tract or also called the optic radiation. Now these will go and reaches the visual cortex of the brain, that is in the occipital lobe, and causes the vision. So this is the entire visual pathway. So whenever you are supposed to write a flow chart, now you can take the retinal ganglion cells. They will be forming caudally the optic nerve, and this optic nerve, the nasal fibers will undergo the optic chiasma, nasal fibers only, and later they form the optic tract. Now what does this optic tract contain? They contain nasal fibers of the opposite eye and the temporal fibers of the same eye. Now they'll be reaching the lateral geniculate body of the thalamus where they synapse, and their axons will be forming the optic radiation or also called the geniculocalcarean tract. So this is the pathway of the visual pathway. So finally it will be reaching the visual cortex or the Bradman's area 17, 18, 19 and causes the vision. Okay, this is the general pathway of the vision.